shot in the face. Lily Carrasco is lucky to be alive today. The Highland Park teenager was watching the 4th of July parade when shots rang out. She took these selfies at the hospital, her shirt, jeans, and sneakers stained with blood. "I'm still in shock," she tweeted. "That nasty cut closed with 6 stitches." As everyone ran for their lives, this little guy, Aiden McCarthy, was rescued by strangers after his parents were shot to death.
Every time I asked him what his name was, his response each time was, "Mom and Dad, they come get me soon? They come get me soon?"
Dana and Dave Ring brought him to their house, posting an appeal on social media. Do you know this child?
A couple hours later, a cop got our number, and he came and picked up the little boy.
This video was taken by Chicago journalist Lynn Sweet. A band is playing on the back of a truck, unaware of the mayhem unfolding all around them.
All of a sudden, a sea of people was running towards me. Just behind me, I saw bodies, I saw wounded, I saw blood.
The tuba player from that truck is Howard Prager.
We thought, how the heck do we get out of here? What do we do? And fortunately, a couple minutes later, there was an opening in the crowd. We're able to turn the truck around.
I saw people like falling to the street and people running.
Alex Sandoval grabbed his son and little brother and fled. He looked around for a safe place to hide the boys and found, of all places, a metal dumpster. So he dropped them inside.
The garbage can seemed like a strong place to hide.
Others found shelter in local businesses. Here you can see desperate families scrambling into a sporting goods store. This video is from inside a wine bar, Linfred Winery. Matt Phillips is the manager.
People started seeking shelter in our basement, bathroom, over in our back storage room. A lot of children screaming and crying, consoling parents, and just running for their lives.
Among the dead, 76-year-old Nicholas Toledo, a beloved grandfather. 63-year-old Jackie Suntime, a volunteer at her synagogue, described as a beautiful ray of light. And financial advisor Steve Strauss, who at 88 still went to work every day. 3 of the innocent souls lost in this senseless act of violence.
Hi guys, and thank you so much for joining me today. I know that this is not my usual type of video, but I just wanted to make this video to pay my respect to all the victims of Highland Park parade shooting, which happened on the 4th of July, just 2 days ago. And also I want to offer my sympathies to the families and friends and everyone that was affected by the shootings. It's a very sad day and it's a very sad time. I will be mentioning all the victims, but I want in particular to highlight a 2-year-old boy who was saved by his parents during the shooting. And I'm going to reference here an article from ABC 7 Eyewitness News. The toddler was found alone after Highland Park parade shooting. Lost parents Irina and Kevin McCarthy. A 2-year-old boy who was found alone in the aftermath of the Highland Park parade shooting lost both of his parents to the gunfire, according to officials, having revealed this on Tuesday, which was just yesterday on the 5th of July. Kevin and Irina McCarthy had taken their young son into town for the annual 4th of July parade on Monday. Gunfire struck both parents and a panicked stranger scooped up their little boy. Quote, "When we pulled in, it looked like the cops were getting ready for war. I'll never forget. I pulled up and I said, this is not our kid. It's not his blood. He's okay. What should we do? And the cop said, we can't be babysitters now. Can you take care of him? We said, of course." Parade goer Greg Ring said. A neighbor saw his photo on the neighborhood watch page and helped reunite the toddler with his grandparents. Quote, "He didn't know. I don't know how they are going to tell him," said Adrienne Rosenblatt, victim's neighbor. "How do you tell any 18-month-old boy that mommy and daddy are in heaven now? There are no words." End of quote. The McCarthy's family and the families, friends and neighbors of 6 other victims and entire communities are left emotionally gutted by the premeditated. The boy's grandfather said the child survived because his father shielded him with his body. He had Aidan under his body when he was shot, the father-in-law said. When he picked up his grandson at the Highland Park police station, Michael Lovberg said the boy told him, "Mommy and Daddy are coming soon." Which, oh my God, it just breaks my heart, really. How do you even tell an 18-month-old baby that Mommy and Daddy are not coming back at all? Irina McCarthy, an only child, was the love of my life, her father said. She was everything. Born in Russia, she settled in the Chicago area with her immigrant father and mother, Nina Lovberg. She worked as a waitress and attended Stevenson High School in Lincolnshire and DePaul University before landing a job in digital marketing in the pharmaceutical industry, her father said. He said she met her husband Kevin, who worked for a gene therapy startup, through her job in pharmaceuticals. The McCarthys had been looking forward to the parade and going to see it with Aidan. They were crazy about their child, he said, his voice breaking. They were planning too. Early Tuesday evening, the couple's bodies had not yet been released to their families. "We don't know what to do," Lovberg said. Jackie Sondheim was part of the fabric of her synagogue. She just had a smile on her face all the time. She was probably the last one out of here every night. Just couldn't find a lovelier person, said her friend Howard Miller. Katie Goldstein's husband and daughters said the same of her. No one had met anyone nicer. Stephen Strauss and Nicholas Toledo's relatives are suffering too. Not a single one of these families expect a parade would end in this agony. Now they are left planning funerals they had no intention or warning to plan for. The scene of the massacre in Highland Park is finally starting to return to normal as debris, chairs and strollers that were left behind in the chaos during a shooting that took the lives of 7 and injured dozens more is now cleaned up. But the impact of these losses stretches far and wide. Victims ranged from 35 years old to 88 years old. Those were mothers, fathers, and grandparents. Officials Tuesday identified 6 of the victims killed in the Highland Park parade shooting on the 4th of July. A 7th person died Tuesday in a Cook County hospital and has not yet been identified. At least 39 people were injured after police said a shooter opened fire on the parade from a rooftop. The Lake County coroner identified the victims killed as Catherine Goldstein, 64 years old, of Highland Park, Irina McCarthy, 35 years old, of Highland Park, Kevin McCarthy, 37 years old, of Highland Park, Jacqueline Sondheim, 63 years old, of Highland Park, Stephen Strauss, 88 years old, of Highland Park, Nicolas Toledo Zargoza, 78 years old, of Morelos, Mexico. Stephen Strauss was a financial advisor who still took the train every day to his office at a brokerage firm in Chicago, his family said. He was an honorable man who worked his whole life, a niece said. He should not have had to die this way. Nicolas Toledo Zargoza's family said he had worked around the Highland Park area for many years after arriving in the US in the 1980s. In a statement, his grandson said, "My grandpa was a funny man. He'd always joke around and be playful with his grandkids. He spent his last days swimming and fishing and being among family. He was retired and lived in Mexico, but would come during the summer to spend time with his kids and grandchildren." The North Shore congregation, Israel, confirmed that Sondheim was a lifelong synagogue congregant and staff member. In a statement, the congregation said, "Our beloved Jackie Sondheim was one of the victims murdered at the Highland Park parade." They went on to call her a cherished member known for her kindness and warmth. Katie Goldstein's husband and daughters said the same of her. "No one has ever met anyone nicer," her husband said. Police said Tuesday no children were killed, but a 7th victim died at Evanston Hospital, police said Tuesday afternoon. Dr. Wendy Rush was at the parade and attended to the wounded. "We heard the gunfire and then it stopped and multiple people, everybody was jumping into action," Dr. Rush said. People identify themselves as physicians, as nurses, anyone who could help had special skills. In our field, as an anesthesiologist, we have very specialized skills managing breathing for people. We are very well trained in CPR and advanced life support and starting IVs, and people were just helping all over. Among some 39 people wounded or injured in the attack were Chicago Public Schools teacher Zoe Kolpak and her husband Stephen. Although their children were not hurt, the educator's father and brother-in-law were also shot and wounded. Kolpak teaches at Devon Elementary. CPS said in a statement, Chicago Public Schools, CPS, is devastated to learn that one of our CPS teachers and her family members are among those who were injured in Monday's mass shooting in Highland Park. We are thinking of our William Dever Elementary colleague and her family, as well as all those impacted by this tragedy. CPS officials have been in contact with the teacher and her family, and our crisis team and support services will be available to support the Dever Elementary staff and students as needed. Highland Park Hospital officials said 9 people remained hospitalized Tuesday, ranging in age from 14 years old to their 70s. 4 are in good condition, 4 remain stable, and 1, a 69-year-old man, is in critical condition. 8 of the 9 patients were shot. 1 patient, an 8-year-old boy, was taken to University of Chicago Commerce Children's Hospital. There were multiple interreligious prayer vigils taking place Tuesday afternoon and evening, and more in the days to come as the community grieves and takes steps to heal. My heart, guys, is with the victims and with the families and friends that lost lovely and amazing people without any fault of their own whatsoever. You go to a 4th of July parade thinking that you'll be celebrating the day, and you end up losing your life. And this is beyond heartbreaking. It's beyond heartbreaking.
Turn it over to Coroner Bannock to start.
Good afternoon. On July 4th, 2022, at approximately 10:15 a.m., Highland Park police were on the scene of an active shooter in the area of Central Avenue and 2nd Street, Highland Park, while an Independence Day parade was in progress. The Lake County Coroner's Office was notified and responded to the scene. It is with a heavy heart that I bring to you the names of the victims of that tragedy. 64-year-old Catherine Goldstein of Highland Park, 35-year-old Irina McCarthy, Highland Park, 37-year-old Kevin McCarthy of Highland Park, 63-year-old Jacqueline Sondheim of Highland Park, 88-year-old Stephen Strauss of Highland Park, 78-year-old Nicholas Toledo Zaragoza of Morelos, Mexico. We have also been notified that there is a 7th victim that died at a hospital located outside of Lake County. I will now give the microphone to the Mayor of Highland Park, Mayor Nancy Rodering.
The Highland Park community, like so many before us, is devastated. It is impossible to imagine the pain of this kind of tragedy until it happens in your backyard. Our focus the last 36 hours has been on the perpetrator of this heinous crime. As we now put the names and faces of those lost yesterday, family, friends, guests, longtime residents of the Highland Park community, our focus shifts to the victims and those left behind. This crisis has devastated entire families and our community in a single moment, and we know it will take time to heal. On behalf of the community and the world that mourns alongside us, I offer loved ones of those who passed our condolences. I thank those who have organized prayer vigils to help support the weight of our shared sorrow. We've listed those on our website, and while we're hurting, we know that we will continue to come together and support each other as we always do in difficult times. We are Highland Park strong.
Thank you, Mayor. There were some questions at our last press briefing about prior contacts that law enforcement may have had with Crimo III. We've done some research, gathered some reports, and I'm going to relay some information from 2 prior instances that occurred here in Highland Park. The first was in April of 2019. An individual contacted Highland Park Police Department a week after learning of Mr. Crimo attempting suicide. This was a delayed report, so Highland Park still responded to the residents a week later, spoke with Crimo, spoke with Crimo's parents, and the matter was being handled by mental health professionals at that time. There was no law enforcement action to be taken. It was a mental health issue handled by those professionals. The second occurred in September of 2019. A family member reported that Crimo said he was going to kill everyone, and Crimo had a collection of knives. The police responded to his residence. The police removed 16 knives, a dagger, and a sword from Crimo's home. At that time, there was a probable cause to arrest. There were no complaints that were signed by any of the victims. The Highland Park Police Department, however, did immediately notify Illinois State Police of the incident. Shifting gears a little bit, talking about the investigation itself. The community has been absolutely terrific with providing information to law enforcement investigators throughout this. But we're asking the community to, if they're able to dig a little deeper and recall some specific instances from the event, based on video surveillance recovered by our investigators, we're very certain that there was a female witness who saw Crimo drop an object inside of a red blanket behind Ross 25 Central Avenue immediately following the shooting. We've not been able to identify this witness yet, but we're asking, if you are the witness and you are hearing this, please call 800, call FBI. Investigators really would like to speak to you about this. We're also asking that anyone with any firsthand information about Crimo relevant to this investigation also call 800, call FBI. Please keep in mind, though, we're asking for firsthand information that could be relevant, that could help investigators. We're not asking for third-party information or information heard through the grapevine, only if it's firsthand knowledge that you have. To update the victim count, including those that have perished, there are approximately 45 injured or deceased from this incident. At about 5:30 this evening, the State's Attorney's Office will be holding a press conference, and we anticipate an announcement of charges at that time.
Digging into the suspect's background today.
Yeah, we want to get more into that. And investigative reporter Ben Bradley is joining us with more on what he uncovered. Ben?
Ray and Lourdes, we found too many warning signs to count. His posts contained violence and vengeance, along with the logo of a far-right overseas group. We share these images not to glorify the suspect, but to show you what police have uncovered that's informing their investigation.
Bobby Crimo was a prolific poster online where he apparently went by the name Awake the Rapper. His videos foretell his alleged violent acts. In one, he appears to dramatize a school shooting.
I know what I have to do. I know what's in it, not only for me, but for everyone else. Where am I going? I don't know. I don't care. There is no past or future, just the now.
In another video, Crimo appears to animate his own demise in a confrontation with police. All of this informing the operation to arrest him. Police chasing leads across the northern suburbs, with Skycam 9 spotting this heavily armed armada of sheriff's deputies at Lutheran General Hospital earlier.
This is a terribly difficult day and the bloodiest that we've experienced in Highland Park.
Highland Park's Mayor Nancy Rodering also confirming to WGN Investigates she has a connection to the suspect. She said his father unsuccessfully ran against her for mayor in 2019. Investigators have only just begun to piece together the motive and method of this murderous rampage. Police say the 22-year-old suspect was known to law enforcement, but one question that will be asked in the days to come, were they aware of the violent videos that have been online for many months?
Sources say there were concerns about Bobby Crimo's mental health going back to at least middle school, where he was said to have struggled and was described as a reclusive student. I'm told when the district offered him resources and help, it was declined, and his family opted to homeschool him instead. Lourdes and Ray, a lot of warning signs, and it's obviously easy to look back in hindsight, but these social media pages, these websites that he uploaded these to, had a lot of views. So the question is going to be, did anyone inform law enforcement, and if so, what was done about it?
Okay, in the meantime, he used a weapon to carry out this attack. Do we know much more about how he got it, and what type of weapon are we talking about?
Yeah, police have only described it as a high-powered rifle. It was left behind at the parade grounds there. The ATF is involved in tracing it. That can be kind of a laborious task. They'll go back, they'll find out the chain of ownership and how it got into his hands, and certainly whether or not he was legally allowed to own it.
Okay. We'll be looking for those answers. Ben, thank you.
All right, thank you, Ben. 21-year-old Robert Crimo is charged with 7 counts of first-degree murder. More charges are likely. A judge today denied bond for the suspect. Police say he confessed to the shooting. Our Dane Placco is live in Waukegan, where those details came out after court today. Dane, what else did we learn?
Yes, Ellie, a lot of new information coming out during today's bond hearing here this morning in Waukegan, including the fact that the suspect has been talking to police and did make what they are calling a statement admitting his guilt. 21-year-old Bobby Crimo III appeared at today's hearing via Zoom. He's being held here at the Lake County Detention Center. Lake County judge ordered he be held without bond on 7 counts of first-degree murder, with the expectation that as many as 40 or 50 more counts may be coming. Those would be attempted murder counts for the people who were shot but did not die. Now, after the hearing, Lake County State's Attorney Eric Reinhart talked about those charges.
The judge ruled that Robert Crimo III would be held without bond and that there was probable cause to hold him at this time for 7 counts of first-degree murder. We have filed those counts alleging the intentional killing of 7 individuals. Based on the information that the investigation has produced so far, the judge found that the evidence was at such a level that he could be held without bond. Also, because the fact that it is a mandatory life sentence.
Among the new details revealed in court today, Crimo had a fascination with the numbers 7 and 4, apparently related to the music he listened to. Investigators believe that's why the attack was planned for the 4th of July, or 7/4 on the calendar. Now, they also revealed that there was very nearly a second massacre in the area of Madison, Wisconsin. That's where Crimo drove after the attack in Highland Park. And investigators say he stumbled upon another 4th of July celebration and thought about killing even more people.
It appears when he drove to Madison, he was driving around. However, he did see a celebration that was occurring in Madison, and he seriously contemplated using the firearm he had in his vehicle to commit another shooting. Approximately 60 rounds.
At that point, he did?
Yes.
60?
Yes.
What about his motivation for the attack in the first place?
His motivation isn't necessarily clear. I don't want to go specifically into what he told investigators. However, he had some type of affinity towards the number 4 and 7, and inverse was 7-4.
Do you believe his plan was to go to Highland Park and then to Madison all along? Or?
We don't have information to suggest he planned on driving to Madison initially to commit another attack. We do believe that he was driving around following the first attack and saw the celebration.
So there could have been a second massacre that was averted, thank God. They also said that they found his cell phone. He apparently threw his cell phone out of the car somewhere near Middleton, Wisconsin. That's just outside of Madison. As for his attorney, he has been appointed a public defender, but there was a little bit of confusion early on because esteemed criminal defense attorney Tom Durkin in Chicago filed for an appearance in this case and did in fact pop up on the Zoom own bond hearing this morning. However, Durkin said he discovered that he has a conflict of interest and cannot represent Crimo. So he is going to be getting a public defender. Now, investigators did say, as well as we mentioned at the top of this show, that Crimo has been talking to them. They didn't want to go into a lot of detail about what he has been saying, but they did say that he made a voluntary, this is quote, made a voluntary statement of confession. So he's not trying to say that he did not commit these crimes. Sally, back to you.
Dane, you mentioned this bond hearing happened over Zoom. Did the suspect say anything? Could you tell anything about his demeanor?
Yeah, he was just one of several little boxes in the Zoom calls, and he only spoke once, and that was when he was asked by the judge whether, in fact, he had an attorney. He said he did not. He was unaware that Durkin was, at one point, going to be representing him. His demeanor during the hearing he didn't show much emotion, frankly, at all. In fact, when they were reading the proffer, going through the details of this horrific crime, he looked to the right. His eyes were constantly to the right side, his right side, the left side of the screen. He never looked into the camera or showed any emotion or raised his head at all during that period of time.
All right, Jane Placco live for us with the latest developments there. Thank you so much for that.
What should happen is there's something called a preservation letter, and we have the ability in law enforcement to take the account down, don't take the account down, or lock the account.
One of the biggest questions in the aftermath of the shooting, who knew about the suspect's disturbing social media posts?
And were they ever brought to the attention of police?
Tia Ewing joins us at the live desk with more on that. Tia.
Well, it doesn't sound like his social media pages were brought to the attention of police, but this is what we do know. A YouTube channel that featured the Highland Park suspected shooter showed an animated school shooting and the parade route. YouTube has since pulled the page.
I need to just do it. It is my destiny. Everything has led up to this. Nothing can stop me, not even myself. Is there such thing as free will? Or has this been planned out?
This is one of the disturbing videos showing 21-year-old Robert E. Crimo III, posted on YouTube 8 months ago with thousands of views. It shows an animated character at times shooting another character.
If the public sees something that is concerning online with anybody, they should notify the social media network it's posted on. They should notify local law enforcement, and that's when we get involved and we conduct an investigation.
Chris Covelli with the Lake County Major Crimes Task Force says Crimo was planning the crime for weeks, and detectives are still looking at online posts to see if the suspected shooter had a motive, but says no one contacted them about Crimo's online activity.
If we don't know about it, it's hard for us to investigate.
This is a screen grab from a video on the now deleted YouTube video titled Robert Crimo Archive Footage, file XM058. 10 months ago it was posted and appears to show 17 seconds of the Highland Park 4th of July parade route, captured on a camera attached to a moving car. An emergency siren could be heard over the video. So if you see something like this, what do? You can contact the social media site, letting them know it goes against guidelines and standards. And if it's really graphic, you should call police. Rich Wistocki, a cybercrime expert, says police can track down a suspect through social media.
We take the information. There's something called exigent circumstance. If death or great bodily harm is about to happen or is going to happen now, we can get the information on the person posting it and execute search warrants to look for weapons, to look for intent in their social media.
Now, YouTube did release a statement on the decision to take down some of what was on that page. Here's some of their statement. Following the horrific incident in Highland Park, our trust and safety teams identified and quickly removed violative content in accordance with our community guidelines.
It's worse today. I mean, just sinking in, even coming here, seeing the dogs lined up, seeing the hearts.
The Highland Park community in mourning tonight as a reality of what unfolded yesterday truly hits home.
We are learning more about the 7 victims shot and killed just minutes after the parade stepped off.
Casey Cronus live for us tonight near Memorial Park, where hundreds of people joined together tonight to pray for those lives lost. Casey.
That's right, Corey and Dawn. And outside of a nearby church, memorials were set up for each of the victims. Messages in chalk also written on the sidewalk here. Families filled with sadness and sorrow are also finding strength in each other.
As the community came together to pray for healing at Highland Park Presbyterian Church.
It just makes it more and more real.
Outside, messages of love were left for those who didn't make it home from yesterday's 4th of July parade.
It's a horrific, horrific thing.
Two of the victims, a married couple, 35-year-old Irina and 37-year-old Kevin McCarthy. They were feared dead when a little boy, who's now been identified as their son, was found alone amid the chaos.
That child is not going to have parents. My life is my daughter. I'm my daughter's life. It's absolutely, it's devastating.
As gunfire erupted, community members rushed the boy to safety, caring for him as the search for his family began.
I followed the boy as they were trying to reunite him with his parents. I know that was a really tragic situation.
The 2-year-old is now with his grandparents, but tragically will grow up without his mom or dad. Friends and strangers alike rallying together to support the young boy. A GoFundMe account raising more than $1 million in a matter of hours.
And I'm hopeful that maybe out of this terrible tragedy will come a positive outcome, and that we will find a way to stop this hate and learn to live together.
Support dogs were also here tonight, offering some comfort to those who came out to this vigil. Now, of course, there is going to be a very long road to healing ahead. Let's send things to my colleague Natalie Baumke with details on some of the other victims who sadly did not make it home yesterday.
Thank you, Casey. And the mayor of Highland Park said it is time to shift the focus from the perpetrator of the crime to the victims. A grandfather visiting from Mexico, a devoted member of a local Jewish congregation, and a dedicated financial advisor among the victims.
Nicholas Toledo Zaragoza was visiting his family in Highland Park from Morelos, Mexico. The 78-year-old was a father of 8 and beloved grandfather. He enjoyed fishing. His granddaughter saying he was the one who saved all of our lives, talking about the 3 bullets that struck Zaragoza as they watched the parade. 63-year-old Jackie Sundheim was a devoted member of the North Shore Congregation Israel in Glencoe. The Highland Park resident had been a preschool teacher and events coordinator for the synagogue. 88-year-old Stephen Strauss, a Highland Park resident, still took the train to his Chicago office 5 days a week, working as a stockbroker. He is survived by his wife, 2 sons, and grandchildren whom he loved dearly. 64-year-old Katie Goldstein also resided in Highland Park. She was married with 2 children.
And we are still awaiting the identity of a 7th victim who died at a hospital in Cook County. And as Anthony reported, the state's attorney says many more charges are coming in this case tied to the suffering of the victims who were not killed but forever scarred by the attack.
Gun violence needs to stop, really. It needs to stop. This I've been seeing lately, shooting after shooting after shooting. When do we actually, take some steps to stop all this gun violence? It's not getting any better, it's getting worse and worse. Thank you so much, guys, for listening today to what I had to say. And again, I'm going to say before I end this video, my condolences and my sympathies go out to the families of everyone that lost their lives. And I also would like to pay my respects to the victims. May you all rest in peace. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care and stay safe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.